Dear viewers, you're welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the senior division officer of the Donga-Mantum division in the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon points an accusing finger at third separatist fighters as concerning the Ngarbu massacre that left several persons dead, and villagers give contrasting testimonies that are in sharp contrast to what the administrative authorities have been saying since that incident occurred. And civil society leader Aya Abine, president of the Aya Foundation, is summoned and interrogated at the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé. You hear the details in this newscast. Stay with us. About a week after the massacre in Ngarbu in the Donga-Mantum division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the senior divisional officer of that administrative unit has paid a condolence visit to the aggrieved families. He assured them that their security is being taken care of by security and defense forces deployed to that part of the northwest region of the country. He points an accusing finger to separatist fighters, but some villagers who spoke to Equinoxe Television gave contrasting testimonies. Details in this report by Innocent Aze.
Some inhabitants of Ngarbu in Tumbo village in Do subdivision began explaining what they know about the said massacre in their locality February 14th during a condolence visit of the senior divisional officer for Donga-Mantum division.
For bed, I'd sleep small time.
I was sleeping that fateful day. I heard people screaming. Soldiers are around. I told the fleeing people to enter my house and not to be afraid.
They come, slow for my place. I said, no fear. I will see the soldier.
The military came, took us and were interrogating. They were divided in two fractions, going about setting houses ablaze and killing innocent people.
I know Sabise, they will divide two parts. Some part they go for that side. The burn houses, kill people.
I cannot tell whether they were military men or separatist fighters.
I sabi them. I know sabi them. They better plenty. I know sabi them.
Many of my people were killed and several others forced to escape to safer areas I don't even know.
Then cry, look my eye, I know if I can't time. Send, I know get send.
Another local brings his own version.
Military been get mission from Gar. They won't get mission from Gar. Some people join military.
During the military operation, some persons went burning houses visited by the defense and security forces.
They don't go from Gar, they finish people. We're military, no.
Another local testified he had suffered attacks from armed men.
So Amber come from my house. They blew my house, take Kako.
The senior divisional officer for Donga-Mantum, while speaking to the bereaved families, assured onward security of the population of Ntumbo village in Do subdivision.
We came to continue to assure the population, this peaceful population of Ntumbo, that the incidents which happened at Garbu was orchestrated by armed gangs who decided to take this enclaved border zone with Bui division into their hideouts, and they had decided to make it a hub of terrorist activities. And the peaceful populations have paid the price, because time and again they came and kidnapped for ransom. They came and killed and destroyed. but we were unable to localize their hideout.
The senior civil administrator recalls to the best of his knowledge what happened. Similar explanations of the defense and the communication ministries.
When their hideout was located, they were the very people who went into a military confrontation. So, in the confrontations, they who stocked inflammable fuels, who stocked munitions in plastic containers, these exploded and caused the disaster which the social media picked up to give a completely different story from what we have on the ground.
Simon Quinty, the senior divisional officer, says the area has been liberated from the hands of armed gangs, urging the population to stay without fear, also to be law-abiding and collaborate with administrative authorities whenever they witness any suspicious activity.
And people will come out other side, they see say when I know they can't spoil.
Equinoxe Television will continue updating you on the Ngarbu massacre and will give you all sides of the story. Your eyes and ears are on the ground in Ngarbu in the Donga Mantum division, northwest region of the country, and will continue digging out the truth in the Ngarbu massacre in that part of the crisis hit northwest region of the country. Now to the west region, 3 teenagers have died in the Fukamezu village in the Kongni subdivision, and the 3 died in unclear circumstances. Usman Jikan Gabriel reports.
Leko Tomfak Lucy, 20-year-old, Ndongo Marie, 20-year-old, and Davlin, 5-year-old, were the unfortunate 3 who died after consuming corn fufu and vegetable prepared by their elder sister. We prepared corn fufu and vegetable. I also had a taste of it. Since she lives here, we took an appointment later in the day. I returned home to take a rub down, only for me to be called to the hospital. On arrival, I saw my daughter in a very poor state, alongside the younger girl. They said it was the food they ate that provoked what was happening. Reports say Tomfak Lucy was accompanied by her classmate Ndongo Marie of Government Technical School Fokamezo in the Nkongni subdivision of Menwa Division when they returned home alongside the youngest of the family, Davlin, to eat the food left in the pot by their mother. I asked Dali to accompany me to fetch water, but she went to Minifield to beg that her hair should be plaited before nightfall. Later, she said she was feeling weak and wanted to sleep. I returned and wanted to take her home, but she insisted she wanted to go to the hospital. Notwithstanding efforts that were made by the doctors to save their lives, none survived. Part of the vegetable soup has been collected for further tests to indicate if it was poisoned, while the Gendarmerie Brigade of Kongni is on the case.
Smart Jikan Gabriel reporting there. And the former Indomitable Lions captain, special advisor to the president of the Confederation of African Football, Samuel Eto'o, has equally expressed his deep concerns over the socio-political and security happenings in the northwest and southwest regions of the country and the rest of the Republic of Cameroon. He was on a courtesy visit to the top management of Equinoxe Radio and Television yesterday. Details with Innocent Azi.
Former striker of the Cameroon football team and retired international football icon Samuel Eto'o Wednesday, February 19, 2020, makes a family visit at Equinoxe Media Conglomerate, where he met the man he calls his elder brother, board chair and managing director of the establishment, Severin Chunke, with whom he had lots of exchanges.
Mon père même, si je suis devenu l'homme que je suis devenu, je le dois à une famille et je ne le cache jamais.
Speaking to Equinoxe journalist, Samuel Eto'o prefers to dwell on the difficult moments his beautiful country Cameroon faces due to socio-political tensions and security challenges across the nation, especially in the far north, northwest and southwest regions.
Notre beau pays traverse un moment difficile et mon plus grand.
My greatest expectation is to see living together that had characterized my beautiful country Cameroon put back on the wheels for peace and love to return.
Qu'on a toujours enseigné aux autres nations.
Regarding the prevailing situation in Cameroon's two English-speaking regions, he affirms no one is perfect.
Le Cameroun, c'est un pays spécial qui nous appartient tous.
Let all come together and strive to restructure our country that had served as example to other African nations. I, for instance, have shared great moments with many and have the opportunity to travel everywhere in Cameroon.
Bien partout, et moi et d'autres Camerounais. Donc, et nous devons tous faire pour que nos cœurs s'apaisent.
Let's work towards reinstating the love that existed before.
Mais aujourd'hui, par X ou Y raison, parfois on souhaite même le malheur de notre frère.
The former African Player of the Year revealed, because of living together, he learned how to pray to become who he is today.
Vraiment, vraiment, et ma plus grande leçon de la vie, elle m'a été donnée par un jeune frère que j'aime beaucoup.
He cited the Southwesterner, Eno Eyong, he calls his younger brother and vice captain while they were still in the national football team.
Il est plus jeune que moi, mais on l'appelait pasteur.
The former Indomitable Lions captain reminded he had never announced visiting the Anglophone regions, but will be proud to do so when need be.
C'est une partie du Cameroun et ce sont mes frères, je ne vois pas pourquoi.
This without fear, because northwest and southwest regions remain parts of his country.
Je devrais plutôt souhaiter à ce que tout se passe bien.
He wishes to go everywhere like before to meet and dialogue with his brothers and sisters.
J'allais partout avant et je souhaite aller partout parce que pour moi tous les Camerounais sont mes frères.
The special advisor to the CAF's president also made statements damning tribalism.
Je ne peux pas aujourd'hui dire j'appartiens juste à une communauté, c'est pas possible.
That he can't visit and rest in particular communities for whatsoever reason.
À chaque fois que le Cameroun m'a sollicité pour n'importe quel dossier, je me suis levé parce que pour moi, le Cameroun passe avant ma propre vie.
With the family support given to lift up Samuel Eto'o to realize his dreams, the Equinoxe Media boss reassures same daily efforts will prevail to brighten future of youth by enabling them exploit their talents.
Civil society leader and humanitarian Aya Bini was summoned and questioned at the State Defense Secretariat in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé. Today, his father, Cameroon's former Supreme Court Judge Aya Bini, says his son has been asked to go home and return tomorrow for the continuation of his interrogation. Barrister Aya Bini has been informed. He says he has been informed that the president of the Aya International Foundation is being questioned in connection to the complaint filed by Dr. Success in Congo after the Congo after the foundation was alleged to have been transporting guns in the crisis-hit Anglophone Cameroon, and the Aya International Foundation had filed a lawsuit against Dr. Success Nkongo and barrister Paul Abine exclaims over the fact that while the foundation's complaint against Dr. Success Nkongo and 5 other persons filed before is still pending, the counter-complaint has taken precedent. He adds that his son is being interrogated politically, or his interrogation is politically motivated. Coming up, Immaculate Fogwe gives us details on the new mayor selected in the Ndonga-Mantum Division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The new mayors are coming in the midst of the deepening crisis, and they have a tough task on their shoulders.
Since the advent of multipartism, the Ndonga Council has been in the hands of the opposition Social Democratic Front SDF party until this 9th of February 2 elections, while the CPDM party regained the Ndonga Council. Abdul Kanfon Buno is a new mayor of the Ndonga Council. He won the elections during an elective council session of the Ndonga Council, where he got a 100% vote. He called on the councillors to join him to make Ndonga regain its steam as far as education is concerned.
Ndonga subdivision has remained behind as far as development is concerned. The nearest subdivision, the nearest neighbor, Campbell subdivision, when you go there, you see the change. You see that children are going to school. You see that the business is booming. But here in Ndonga subdivision, our children have not gone to school for some time now. And so I want that all of us councillors, the deputy mayors, and the population of Ndonga subdivision, that we should come together, try to make our rightful choices, because we cannot continue to keep our children at home.
Messager Council during the February 9th twin elections was a serious bone of contention between one-time mayor of Messager, Kenda Simon, who resigns from the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement political party, to the Alliance for National Democracy and Progress, giving a tough time for the CPDM party. The Messager Council elective council session saw the incumbent Sami Mbata for Kemba as the new mayor of the Messager Council. He grabbed the ticket with 25 votes, giving him a 100% win. All of this was done under the watchful eyes of Quentin Simon Do, Senior Divisional Officer for Ndonga-Mantum Division.
In fact, we talk nothing but the language of development. Development. All the projects I have in my drawers, I am going to again leave and stay here only for some time, lobbying in Yaoundé and abroad. So I'm very, very aware of the task in front of me, and for the confidence bestowed on me, I am very, very, very ready to put me in my optimum so as to merit bigger chances to be given to me by my very people.
An election which has been described by many as a win of change for Ndonga-Mantum Division.
The third Cameroon-Congo border demarcation meeting is currently going on in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Ministers in charge of issues linked to the borderline between Cameroon and Congo, their collaborators and experts from the two countries are meeting here in Douala, and they are discussing the clear demarcation of the borderline separating the two countries. The Minister of Territorial Administration of the Republic of Cameroon, Tanganji Paul, as well as the Minister of Territorial Administration of Congo and other top authorities of the two countries are working out issues, discussing on how to clear some dark zones concerning the border between Cameroon and Congo. And of course, the two first meetings took place in Congo and in Yaoundé, and now they are examining recommendations of the two previous meetings, and of course the issues brought up by the experts who met earlier before this meeting to discuss the issues that concerning the issues concerning the borderline between Cameroon and Congo. And considering the difficulties faced by small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon to get funding, the government of Cameroon has introduced a new concept known as crowdfunding to generate funds. The concept was launched in Douala today by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, and his colleague of small and medium-sized enterprises. And of course, the launching took place earlier today. Take a listen to this extract of what the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, told the press shortly after the launching ceremony.
We have to create this confidence. We have to create this confidence. And I would like to let you know that when you go in the society, we don't know what we call tontine and so on. That means that there is a certain level of confidence that already exists. And we think that when an idea is a very good one, people who like to earn money. If you can enter in the shareholding of an SME, I think that you can be trusted on the fact that you will earn money and that you have to participate in the equity of but the problem is that the SMEs are facing a lot of problems to be allowed to be given credits. And this is why we are trying to look for all the sources of funding, what the SMEs want to do. And we think that the crowdfunding could be one of the ways we can take so as to enable the SMEs to be given some credits. Crowdfunding, as you can understand, is funding by the crowd. That means that everybody can come, everybody can say that this idea is a very important one and I would like to participate. And this is why it can be in the equity or it can be just a gift given by some people to try to help somebody who would like to create an SME.
The Minister of Finance of the Republic of Cameroon, Louis-Paul Motaze, also emphasized on the need for Cameroonians to build trust in order to ensure the success of the concept put in place by the Cameroon government to help small and medium-sized enterprises have access to funding.
We have to create this confidence. We have to create this confidence. And I would like to let you know that when you go in the society, we don't know what we call tontine and so on. That means that there is a certain level of confidence that already exists. And we think that when an idea is a very good one, people who like to earn money. If you can enter in the shareholding of an SME, I think that you can be trusted on the fact that you will earn money and that you have to participate in the equity of in the shareholding of the company.
About 42 hours to the 2020 edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, there is still no sign of such an event coming up in the town of Boya in the southwest region. No announcements, no indication in the town, contrary to previous years when 1 month to the event there were lots of announcements being made here and there in the town of Boya, posters and so on. The town of Boya remains quite dead as far as the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope is concerned. Derek Jado reports.
Medics say physical exercise strengthens the heart, improves circulation, helps lower the risk of heart diseases, blood pressure, and also helps the body to manage blood sugar and insulin levels. And here in Boya, the southwest regional capital, one person is taking physical exercise as a therapy to secondary schools, not only to help these students gain a stable and healthy lifestyle, but also as a tool to inject the fallen moral values back into these students. She is Nuela Lyonga.
Youth who run the world. Youth who run the world. We are here today as youth who run the world. These kids have to watch out on what they eat. They have to make sure they exercise, especially run all the time in a social gathering. They have to make sure that they support other runners. They have to make sure they avoid drugs, they avoid alcohol, sugary drinks and smoking.
1 week to the 2020 Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, though the atmosphere here in Boya, the host town, is not in any way reflective. But Nuela Lyonga is out with over 200 youth out here at the Muliko Stadium Some of them will be participating in the race, like Smile, the grandson of Sarah Lyungo Etonge, Queen of the Mountain.
Do you think the race is going to be very tough for you?
Very tough.
This is proving that at least something good will happen on the day of the mountain race.
This is my first time winning.
I really need to thank her very much from the bottom of our heart.
So from here we are hoping that we are looking forward to the mountain race, because we have some mountaineers that will be running, and we are hoping to cheer them up on the 22nd.
The gathering also provided an opportunity for Noelia Lyunga to announce the eminent creation of youth who run the World Clubs in schools around the nation. Activities here stretches from dancing to running, and they say all the activities were components of physical exercise.
Derek Jato ending the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. We are receiving a former English language reviser, interpreter, editor at the United Nations Tribunal in Arusha, Tanzania. He is also a part-time lecturer in public speaking at the University of Buea. Roland Gong, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're in the southwest region of the, you're lecturing in the southwest region of the country, in a zone where there is trouble, and the university where you're a part-time lecturer is in the heart of the region, hit by socio-political and security tensions. What's the impact on your work?
Let me say that I'm not resident in Buea.
You're lecturing there?
Yes, I go there from time to time to teach. And I wouldn't be in a position to provide what you would call a thoroughly informed appraisal of the situation. But I am aware that there are sporadic incursions, not in Buea per se, because Buea is comparatively calm, but in the surrounding areas there are indeed problems. But as I said, they are sporadic.
How frequent do you go to lecture in the University of Buea? Are you sometimes caught by fear when you have to go there?
No, not at all, not at all. I go there when it is safe, let me put it that way. And I haven't had any cause for concern per se. I mean, as easy as that. Yes.
All right. As a Cameroonian,
yes,
what's your take on what's been happening in the two Anglophone regions of the country, precisely the most recent and deadliest incident recorded in 2020, the Garbu massacre in the Donga division?
Let me say two things. The first one is when human life is involved, when human life disappears, there is a sense of sadness, of course. There is a sense of pain. There is a sense that of desperation, if I may put it that way. But then, that's the first part. But the second part is one of prayer, that we come out of this terrible situation. Any God-fearing person who thinks he's not affected by the current situation is not telling the truth. It is something that has affected families, it has affected the economy of the country, it has created divisions and splits amongst people. And so we have a situation where we wonder whether God has taken leave of this country. And so our hope is that with prayer, with goodwill, with assistance from the Friends of Cameroon, it would be possible for a situation of normalcy to be restored.
With the assistance of the Friends of Cameroon?
Yes, because there are moments when, for instance, if your house is on fire and you are not adequately equipped to resolve, to turn off the fire, as it were, extinguish the fire, then you may urge friends to assist in your effort to turn off the fire. I mean, assisting positively. Yes.
When you look at the way the situation has been evolving,
yes,
do you see a way out anytime soon?
All I can say in that regard is that, you know, for gold to be pure, it has to go through fire. Even though I don't see, from my own limited perspective, the outcome. I cannot preempt or determine the outcome. I just stay optimistic, because if we lose faith, then we are doomed. That's my own reading. But I don't see how we can come out of it. I do not.
If you were in a position today,
yes,
to show the way out of the fire,
one of the first things I would do is to ask for a ceasefire, because you cannot engage in what I would refer to as a meaningful and constructive dialogue or negotiation while there is an exchange of gunfire. So I would, first thing, ceasefire. We move from there. We move from there. Ceasefire, then let me say what I would refer to as conciliatory moves. You know, release of prisoners, withdrawal of combatants to safe areas, return of refugees. I mean, those are what I call conciliatory moves that would help.
Or create an enabling environment.
That is correct. That is correct.
For a move towards a return to peace and normalcy.
That is correct, sir.
All right. Yeah. That said, we'll talk something else now.
Yes.
Notably in your area of specialization, public speaking.
Inter alia, yes.
Public speaking.
Yes.
And you're a former English language reviser, yes, and editor at the United Nations Tribunal
for Rwanda,
Arusha,
based in Arusha, yes.
Tanzania.
Yes.
All right. Now, when we talk about public speaking, what should be at the back of the mind when we talk about public speaking, or when we have to speak to the public?
Three things, and I'll be very brief. The first one is the message. And when you talk about, for instance, in your own field, you talk about the message, you talk about the news, you talk about information. They are all synonymous, in my view, because you are conveying a certain material to what we call the end user, and the end user being the audience. You must always think about the end user. Has he understood my message? Has he understood the news? Has he understood the information I'm trying to convey? Because if the end user does not get it, then you have failed in your endeavor. That's one. Two, the fluency of delivery. If you have no mastery of the language in which you are delivering the message does not get to the end user. Three, your demeanor. Are you credible? Credible meaning, are you believable? Is it possible that the news or the information you are trying to convey is unfounded as a result of your appearance, for instance, or what I call your demeanor, or your ability to convey such information in a credible manner? Those are basically, I've really summed them up.
All right.
But those are basically
first point.
Yes.
The content of your message.
Yes.
The message you want to send across.
Correct.
What are some of the characteristics of the message of a message that will reach the final destination, that will reach the receiver.
Yes. Now, you have to have what I call the relevance of the message. For instance, if you're delivering a message in a manner that is not relevant to the end user, he might say, he might dismiss whatever. But where there is relevance, and how do you create relevance? You create relevance by avoiding two things, let me say. The first one is what we call silence fillers. What are silence fillers? Silence fillers are like, you know, or here in Equinoxe, I hear you guys fairly often use the word "and equally," and of course. They send no message. Those are empty words. They lack content. So when you're talking, you want to convey a message, you have to deal with relevance.
Take those elements off.
Yes, take those, of course, equally.
You know, and so on.
Exactly. Those are silence fillers. They are empty, you know. Apart from the relevance, there has to be fluency in delivery. In other words, the end user, as I say, the receiver of the message, using the word that you so appropriately used, the receiver has to know that, oh yes, this man is delivering in a language that I can understand. You know, journalists are meant to be a reference when it comes to their ability to convey a message. That's what they are meant to be. So when a journalist
like other public speakers, preachers,
yes,
people who you know, offer or deliver some kind of lessons and conferences,
for instance, yes. So when a journalist fails to convey that message because he has problems of fluency in the language in which he is supposed to be delivering the said message, then he has not done his job, because the message is not understood, and also because when they are not understood, they lose interest. People lose interest when they don't get the right message. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the content of the message. It has to be relevant. It has to be credible and fluent in the eyes of the end user. Because you have opinion polls, and these opinion polls are based on the judgment or appraisal of the end user. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that's the point.
Right. There was a last point which you mentioned there, which I would like you to come back on, in the demeanor. When you talk about the demeanor, what exactly are you referring to?
Your appearance, among other things. Do you know that appearance can convey what I call a sense of security? It conveys credibility, your appearance alone. It makes people think, oh, yes, I can rely on what this gentleman is saying. But if you convey by your very appearance some sense of insecurity, or some feeling that you lack mastery of the information that you are trying to convey, people don't trust you. There has to be a sense of trust. You understand? When a journalist talks about, for instance, when you're talking about the incident in Dongamantung division, people listen and they say, it's not telling the truth. It's not true. This information he is trying to convey is unfounded. It's not based on reality. But when you state that information and you back it up or have it substantiated or corroborated with information that is solid, founded, grounded, reliable, then you become believable.
It goes through.
Yes. Your demeanor it contributes, you know. I am aware that, unfortunately, for lots of the journalists in Cameroon, there's a lot of interference, particularly the English-speaking journalists. I'm aware of that. For instance, there's interference in terms of the mother tongue. There's interference in terms of French. There's interference in terms of the pidgin language. All these, I give you an example. Like in the French, they say violence in the school milieu. Why? You can say violence in schools, right?
That's short and simple.
Yes, KISS, keep it short and simple. That's how we say in English.
All right, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
You are a former English language reviser and editor at the United Nations Tribunal in
ICTR,
Arusha.
yeah, in Arusha.
Thanks so much for coming, Mr. Roland Gong.
Welcome, thank you.
We hope to have you again some other time.
Amen.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.